Page 40, the 12 Days of Christmas. This is the one piece in Christmas that just drives me nuts. Mainly because it's got 12 verses more or less to it, and so when you're singing it with people, you pretty much got to go through all 12 verses, because some ding-dong wants to do that. Ugh. However, it's in the book, so let's cover it. 4/4 time, so we're counting to 4, there's 4 beats in a measure, we're counting quarter notes. No sharps or flats anywhere that I can see. I think we're using pretty much all the white keys. I could be wrong about this because this thing is 4 pages long, so we'll see. Right hand first, let's check notes and rhythms and fingerings. The right hand starts here. As 1 and 2 and 3 and crossover for the B, one note. 3 and 4, and then the thumb. This is similar to a C major scale, crossover. See, if you can do the C major scale like you should be able to, this crossing over here should be a piece of cake. It should come quite naturally. Measure 5. 1 and 2 and 3 and cross 4 and measure 7. 1 and 2 and 3 and then cross over, thumb. You've had this before. You get a lot of practice at this one. A lot of repetition in this piece. Let's go down to measure 11. Here. Now we get a 3/4 time. Oh goody. The beat is going to stay the same. We're just going to count to 3 instead of 4. So it's 1 and 2 and 3, and that's it. See, most of the time when they change key signatures in a piece, there has to be something that's sort of common that ties it together. Here it's the beat, it's the quarter note. Beat, it's the same. So starting in measure 11 again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2. You just keep going. The beat's the same. You're just not counting as far. You get the same thing on measure 18. It's 3 counts. And measure 19 is 3 counts. Now you get 2 measures of 3 counts. Isn't this fun? Just gets better and better. Let's go over to, on page 42, it'd be second line, second measure, or measure 24. You're here. Now measure 25. I suggest you reach up here and use 4th finger on the G. This way your 5th finger's ready. And now we do want an F sharp. Oh goody. We used a black key. And then 5th finger for measure 27, and it's just 3 counts. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and then back to 4 counts. And you've had all that before. Very repetitious. Now, on measure 34, it's surrounded by repeat signs. This gets fun when you're down around toward the end at verse 10 or 11 or whatever, because you just keep repeating this for every verse. You repeat it however many times you need to repeat it to cover all the verses you're at. So you just keep playing that measure over and over until you want to throw up or something. Okay. However, when you go on to measure 35, I suggest go ahead and use 4th finger again, so your little finger's ready for the 5. For the A, little finger is 5. A. See what the song does to me. It just then 5th finger, rest. Ugh. Left hand. Well, the left hand starts it out with a pickup beat. It's 4 and 2, 3, rest. 2, 3, 4, and then measure or pick up to measure 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and. That's a lot of what the left hand is doing right there. On page 42, start with measure 25. That's where the right hand has a sharp sign. You have C, and then in measure 26, the left hand gets the F sharp. And both of those Fs are sharp. Remember, it applies for the rest of that measure, so both of those are sharp. But only for that measure. And then for the next, now you come up, 2nd finger on the A. This is measure 28. That's the measure 29. 1 and 2 and 3. And then measure 30, you come back down. Like you were before. Put the hands together here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And when I play the B, the left hand comes up. Here and here. And now thumb in the right hand. Keep the left hand down and that comes up. Get the idea. Go over to measure 11. You're here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and the left hand comes up on 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and. It's really repetitious. On page 42, let's start with measure 24 here. Then reach out, remember fourth finger in the right hand. 2. And then lift up. See, that has to sound like one hand played all of that. So make it match. That's pretty much it. If you can get that and then get rid of the hesitations, then we can add in these staccatos and things. You're going to connect this as though it's all one phrase. Then lift up. I disagree with that. I think it should be connected. The staccato. I follow the words, the sentences, and I'll lift up in the words. You know, if there's a comma or a period or something like that. But this, to me, a partridge, and to me, that should all be connected. However, that's interpretation. It's up to you whether you try both ways, which you prefer. I just think, according to the words, it should be. Now, one of the other verses, it might not be. I don't know. But this part at the beginning, I think, is. And then, of course, the staccato. Lift up. On page 42, you get some variety here. Let's start again at measure 24. You're here. And here, I connect all this together. I connect all that together. To me, that all belongs together. Unless you have to take a breath. Then lift up. You lift. So forth. So you go through and put in the staccatos and things. As far as the phrasing goes, I suggest you follow the words. And if there's a comma or something, lift up. Otherwise, I'd connect them. Well, unless it's a staccato, of course. Dynamics goes to the melody. At the beginning, that's melody. So it's moderately loud or mezzo forte. And now the left hand's soft. And now the right hand's soft. The left hand's very soft. It's like a statement and a reply. So the statement was moderately loud. And the reply is soft. Louder. Soft. The left hand is very soft, and then moderately loud again. So the dynamics really help on this to bring out and make it sound a little. Just put in the louds and the moderately softs as they go, and that's the melody. Keep everything else in the background. As far as how fast it goes, it's a happy piece, sort of, but, well, it says cheerfully. So don't get too carried away. It depends on how much wine I've had to drink. you decide on how fast you're going to take. To me, that's about somewhere in the middle. It has to be accurate, but there's not a lot of challenges, I think, and you can handle this in okay. So you sort of find the hardest part in it, and how fast can you play that accurately, and that's good enough. It's not a fast piece. As far as the roadmap goes, when do you go where? It gets a little tricky here. Pages 40 and 41, you just play them straight through. No big deal. Page 42, you play straight through. No big deal. It's page 43, we're going crazy. You have on measure 34, it's repeated, it's surrounded. And you're going to repeat this each time to cover every verse you're on. So the first time through, you don't repeat it. You just play through it. But then at the bottom, you have first and second endings. And the first ending has a DS. And this is where it gets a little tricky. The DS means go back to the sign. The sign is at the top of page 41 at measure 32. You go back to there. And you go through the whole thing again, except when you get to measure 34, now you have to repeat it for each verse. If you're on verse 9, you got to repeat it to cover verses 8, 7, and 6. You'd have to repeat it that many times. So you keep repeating measure 34 to cover every verse prior or before you've had the one you're on. And when you get down to the first ending again, you do the DS. And this is what's misleading, because normally you'd only do a first ending once, one and done. Well, you can't do that with this. You have to do the DS, and that sends you back. That means you got to keep doing the first ending until the very end. When you're on the last verse, then you can do the second ending and finish it, and then have a drink. You deserve it. Now, when we do the play with me, the first time we get to page 43, measure 34, I'm not going to repeat it the first time, but when we go down to the bottom, we do the DS. Then I'll repeat measure 34 once, but I'm not going to do the DS again. When I get down to the bottom for the second time, I'm just going to do the second ending and stop. I'm not going to do all 12 verses of this mess. Just no, thank you. And it'll be the same in the demo. I'm not going to do it in the demo. It's this way. At the end of this, the second ending here, I suggest you reach up and use 2 and 5 on that. You don't need to move your hand like that. This is a more advanced fingering, will serve you well in the future. So just reach up and use 2 and 5. I didn't use any pedal. They show a few paces with pedal. If you want to use pedal, go ahead. Push the notes down first and then the pedal, and then lift it up after you play the notes at the end of where the pedal's marked. I'm not going to show pedal because, in my opinion, you don't need pedal on this. Just play the whole thing just fine without. Now, on measures 26 and 36, there is a retardando. So you're just going to slow down a little bit here. And then the next measure, as an all tempo, means resume the speed you were going. So make sure you slow down on those two measures too. Now there's a note on under measure 39 and 40, forte and retardando last time. So the last verse you're doing, whatever it is, here instead of soft, it's loud. Duh. And you're going to slow down. That sort of lets everybody know we're finally finished with this mess. We can go on. Have a drink. That's the last time. All the other times, it's soft and you just keep going. Yeah. I like to play it with you slowly. Let's just double check the notes and the rhythms. And the road map, I'm going to do what I described on page 43. I'm only going to DS one time. Then I'll measure 34. The first time we go through it, I'm not going to repeat it. And then when I do the DS, I'll repeat it one time, and that's it. And then we're just going to take the second ending when we get to the bottom and finish. So I'll give us 3 counts because we come in on beat 4. I'm not going to do any dynamics. I'm just playing notes and rhythms here. Now on the page turn, I can't do the page turn. So what I'm going to do is pages 40 and 41, and then I'm going to stop. And then I'm going to count us in again, and then we'll finish it up. If you're playing it for people, you can't do that. You can't stop. The beat has to go on. And how you decide to do that is up to you, because the page turn's got to be done. If there's somebody there who turned the page for you, that's good. Otherwise, you got to do it yourself, and the hands are busy. That means you got to leave out notes. Well, we don't like leaving out notes, but if you have to, you have to. You leave out as few as possible. You can't leave out melody notes. You got to have them. So here at the bottom of page 41, you're here. You might have to leave out the left-hand notes on those and just play the right hand to give you time to turn the page. I'll leave that up to you. 1 and ready and go and 1 and 2 and 3 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 4 and turn the page. 1 and 2 and ready and go and. to the top, 1 and. 3 and 4 and. Repeat, 1 and 2. The 1 and 2 and. 3 and 4 and. Second ending, 1 and 2 and.